Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today, I will be talking about a word that many refer to the good times. We all do. The word nostalgia. Personally, I believe that the word has really been worn out throughout the years, mostly because people just use it automatically when they think of an old game or just have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. For many of y'all, when you think of nostalgia, you think of the good times when you were a kid. An old version of a video game like Minecraft, Roblox, Fortnite, Call of Duty, or GTA. You might also just use the word when remembering with times with your family and revisiting the places you went to. It's something that we all like to reflect on once in a while, usually because it was maybe a time when we were all happy. Not saying that we're all just depressed now, but it was a time when we didn't have as many issues in the world because we were kids. We were just trying to have a great time while we can before we become a fucking adult and just live a 9 to 5 job and feel depressed forever. I'm just joking. Now, you may be wondering, when am I going to get to the point of the fucking video and stop wasting your guys' time? Sorry, I'm going right into it, and I'm going to be talking about, I guess, the two different mindsets that I believe most of us have. The mindset of the past is always the best, or the past was never good and the present will be better, or was always better, I guess you could say. Now, I think that both of these mindsets are kind of flawed in their own ways, and today I will be talking about that in my own way, talking about nostalgia and what it does for all of us, whether it be the good times or just making us feel unappreciated of the present. So, let's get right into it.
What we do here is go back.
I feel like wanting to go back to the past so badly that you will not appreciate at all of the present is such a terrible mindset. I've seen many people argue that things were better in the past and the present will never be better. Well, let me break it down for you, Mark, and tell you why it's such a stupid fucking mindset. I'll use an example, which will be video games, obviously, because I've played this shit way more than anything else. And it will be Minecraft. For example, Minecraft has been exhaustingly overused to show how back then it was the best time ever, and everything they add in the recent years are killing the game. Now, I understand you may think that what I'm saying is stupid and no one actually thinks that, but I'm sure that there are people that still think that out there. First off, no, it wouldn't. If Minecraft was still at the state it was during 2011 and had no updates at all for the next 5 years, it would be the most boring fucking game ever made because you are limited with what you can do at all. Like, literally at all. There was nothing to do back then. In the alpha version, and basically when it was in full release, full game edition release, there was nothing to do. Sure, you would be experiencing a new game, and sure, it would be fun as fuck for a while, maybe a week or two. But then after that, there's nothing to do besides just build. You were limited on everything. What I mean by that? Mobs. There were no mobs at all. Basically, what it was just the spider. Actually, I don't even know. Yeah, the spider was there. Spider, skeleton, zombie, some animals too. Maybe some other few ones. I'm not sure if the nether was there. I'm pretty sure it was, but it was so bare and ugly and sad. Like, there was nothing. I mean, it was at its early stages, so of course there was nothing at all. As much as I hate it when Mojang just, is not working their ass off or just not doing anything at all for a whole year and would give us probably just one block a year, at least honestly it's something because I do not want to ever go back to the past for Minecraft because Minecraft in the past was actually boring as fuck, and there were many glitches or things that just didn't make sense at all that I think we were all annoyed of and just are glad that they're gone or they fixed it or updated it. Now, another example I will be using is Fortnite. Now, don't even get me started with this fucking game. With all the flaws it had in Chapter 1, slow movement, it wasn't really, a glitch or anything, just slow movement, apparently you're sprinting, the many glitches that it would have that at times it would actually be kind of funny, but sometimes game breaking as well. And the hackers were horrible during chapter 1, especially during what the fucking season 6 to probably X was at its worst, I would say. I never actually experienced it because I'm a console player. I never really experienced it, but I know that PC players did experience it a lot, especially PC players like famous streamers like fucking Ninja at the time. I recall them actually running into a fucking hacker many times, and of course the infamous video from that kid fucking FaZe Jarvis making a video about him using cheats in Fortnite and then eventually getting banned. Oh my god, no way. I got banned for using cheats and making a video? But I said that you shouldn't be using cheats and I'm just using this as an example. Come on, Fortnite. Come on, just unban me. I'm sorry. It was just such a stupid fucking video. Anyways, moving on from that, I just think that currently Fortnite, I would say, is probably 100 times better than old Fortnite right now. I do agree that the seasons and the maps and everything were definitely way better than the current state right now. I'm not saying that Chapter 5 is bad. It isn't. I think it's alright. I would say the present one, like Chapter 4, was probably the worst map. I'll talk about that later on when I'm talking about combating the presents. You'll see what I'm talking about. As much as I get annoyed with the amount of collabs they shove down our throats, especially Marvel and DC, I'm glad that they are doing it though, because being able to use characters that we like from shows, other video games, movies, idols we like in a game, like fucking, streamers or whatever, in a game like Fortnite is such a funny and great concept, especially for a game like this. An example I would use is you can straight up just load Fortnite, play squads with your friends, with one guy as fucking Iron Man, Goku, and John Wick, and then they just casually hit the gritty. Then loading into a game and seeing fucking Naruto hitting the Orange Justice and a whole squad playing instruments of different songs combining Blinding Lights, Party Rock Anthem, and Barbie Girl. It's fucking wild, and I would say there really isn't any other, I guess, battle royale game or any game that can be like this. And it's such a cool concept. Now, moving on, I will be now talking about why the present isn't always better than the past, and why the past also had its good things that I would say did better than the present right now, at least. So, let's get into it. Now, I know I've been shitting on back then was always better, but now I will be shitting on the present is way better and people are just blinded by nostalgia people. Now, that phrase kind of pisses me off. Just right now, I'll explain later. Again, I will be using video games. One thing that was great about the past is when big time companies who worked on games were actually passionate and did great with making games. Even with the limited technology they had on old fucking consoles, like ancient consoles like PS3 or PS2, Xbox 360 or whatever, they still did pretty fucking good, I would say. An obvious example I think is probably the best right now is Call of Duty. Primarily the old Modern Warfare games and Black Ops games. Modern Warfare 1 to 3 were truly a great experience because of how well the development for them was. Campaign was great for all of them, I would say. Many iconic characters and super fun multiplayer with many cool camos to grind for. Black Ops 1 to 3 were by far the greatest ever. Black Ops 1 with its great campaign and making more iconic characters like Woods and Mason, not to mention obviously Modern Warfare with Price, Soap, and well, I guess you could say Yuri because he did save Price in the end in Modern Warfare 3, but you know what I mean. And like I was saying, Black Ops 1 with its greatest campaign and making more iconic characters, great multiplayer maps and zombies, and the process of making zombies. It's definitely way better than currently right now, and it really brings me back. And not because it was the good times because of me playing it as a kid. No, it's not just because of that, but because of how amazing it really was. A perfect balance of futuristic and modern boots on the ground gameplay. Black Ops 2, that was truly fucking awesome. It was the greatest fucking Call of Duty game ever, I would say, and you can't prove me otherwise. You can't say otherwise that any other game is better. You could say Modern Warfare 2 is better. I don't care. It was always the best for me. Campaign going from the present of Mason's son, Alex Mason's son, fighting one of the most iconic antagonists, Raul Menendez, to the past when Woods and Mason first started dealing with one of the greatest characters, Menendez. And of course, the multiplayer was absolutely phenomenal because of the great selection of weapons, badass score streaks, and the maps, I would say, were pretty good. I guess I can understand that many didn't like some of the maps. I would understand that, but they did make a lot of iconic maps that they would eventually bring back, like Raid and Hijack. Either bring back, like in Cold War, they brought back those maps, or at least some of the old BO2 maps, or remix them like they did in BO3. And I think they were fucking cool as fuck, and I was glad that they brought those back. And no, not because I'm blinded by nostalgia, because I actually think those are good maps. I'm sorry to say, but I actually think that, not because I'm blinded by nostalgia. Okay? Also, not to mention that they were focused. Black Ops was being more focused on zombies as well, like the lore, wonder weapons, and maps. Arguably, like Transit, and I know we can all agree that Transit was probably one of the worst maps ever created. But I would truly want to see Transit come back in, I don't know, what was it, the Gulf War, or what, BO2 remixed or whatever. I would truly want to see that, because obviously they were trying to, make that map with how limited they were, especially with all the fog that they had to put, because otherwise it would have been way too much for the game to handle. So I would understand that, but I feel like right now, if they did try on Transit and worked on it and bring it back, I would truly think that it would have been one of the best maps ever. And even right now, I would say many people, as much as they hated Transit, I know that they say that it was actually fun. If you had friends to play with, it was fun. It was just a fun game, or a fun map to play, because of how wild it could be. Especially, like, everyone boarding the fucking bus, and then you just have that one friend that is taking way too long and eventually gets left behind in the bus, and then they have to eventually try to chase the fucking bus going through the fucking fog and getting scratched by whatever those things were. It was fucking funny. And back then I didn't have, friends actually to play with in zombies, but I do recall watching people play that, and just playing by myself. I think it was fun. It really was. Now, of course, I will include obviously Buried and Mob of the Dead, because I won't disrespect the people that believe that those maps are probably the best, excluding Die Rise, because I think we can all agree that Die Rise was probably a horrendous map, probably second last to the worst map. Obviously, Trent is all the way down there, I would believe. Um, Also, during the time, many people were able to find funny ass glitches in BO2 that would make the game like fun to play. Anytime that we would all get bored of just playing BO2, find glitches and it would be fucking funny. Especially the group that I watch the most, that I still admire to this day, is the Vanoss crew. And it was a time when they were peaking and growing all together, and their great humor combined. It was truly something magnificent. And obviously I didn't watch them in their BO2 times, because I was a fucking kid. I was a kid, so I wouldn't be watching them that time. I think I started watching them at around 2014, 15, 16, 17. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But I didn't watch them at the time. But I did watch their old BO2 videos, and man, I really feel like I missed out, because it sucks that many of those old BO2 videos are gone, and it's a shame. But to this day, I think I still admire them, and they're probably one of my biggest inspirations in why making videos like this, any kind of videos that I want to make. Anyways, let's also move on to BO3. Now, BO3 was really going with the full futuristic and jetpack mechanic, but I believe it was better than any futuristic Call of Duty game. Campaign was god awful, no doubt about that at all. I understand it was probably the worst ever made. That I can't lie. But the multiplayer was great because of the weapons, badass special abilities, and cosmetics, and the grindy feeling to get awesome camos like Dark Matter, which was such a difficult fucking experience for me, because I didn't play it back in its prime at all when it came out or anything like that, when they worked on it, when they cared about it. So I had to deal with cheaters and invisible pussies, and anyone that does that shit are absolutely pathetic. I'm not even joking. You're like an actual loser, and you have to cheat in order to actually get kills. It's pretty sad to live that kind of life. Not to mention that BO3 probably had the best zombies ever, arguably. It really did. Great maps like Shadows of Evil, Der Trek, and Gorod Krovi, and Revelations, and the fact that they remastered the classic maps. What was it? Nacht der Untoten, Verrückt, Shinonuma, and Kino der Toten, one of the most overrated maps. It was fucking awesome. It was truly one of the best, and they were fucking cooking with BO3. Now, it is unfortunate that we did have to go through that fucking supply box or care packages sort of phase, because those were horrendous to go through. Having to either you could risk it and spend money to get the cosmetics that you wanted, or constantly play the game every time to hopefully get a 1 in 100 chance to get the thing that you wanted. It would pretty much fucking suck. So that was one thing that I did not like at all. And to be honest, I feel like the present Call of Duty has been in such a shitty state with the games that they have released, like Vanguard, MW2, and MW3. I will say that I think MW3 with its multiplayer is alright. I think there are some other things that they still need to fix with that game, especially the horrendous maps that they make on that fucking game. I've tried playing, or I have played MW3 for a little bit, and I can confidently say that they're doing good with, I guess, weapons and all the things that they can add, but the maps are just horrible, dude. It's so bad. Horrible balancing with weapons, horrendous maps, and quality of maps. It was bad. And not to mention the huge issue with cheaters still in the present day. And obviously, I will not exclude the old Call of Duty games when they have cheats or cheaters, but that's typically because, you know, there's literally like no security, so anyone could literally cheat in that game. But still, it's kind of sad that in the present day, where I would think they would have more security, there's still a lot of cheaters. And I get that they're trying to combat through that, but come on, man. Anyways, last thing that I want to mention is something that I feel like pisses me off the most for a game. Back to Fortnite we go. Yep. So now what pisses me off the most is the fact that people shit on Chapter 1 and OG for being so boring, and we're all blinded by nostalgia that this pisses me off so much. And how does it piss me off? Let me explain. So it pisses me off so much because of how untrue it is. On the first day of Chapter OG releasing, you would constantly be queued because of how many people were playing. I don't know if you guys remember that, but yeah, there were a shit ton of people wanting to play that game again after seeing, oh, bet Chapter 1 map is coming back, let's go. Almost every single YouTuber, streamer dropped whatever the fuck they played and went back on Fortnite to play. Players that were playing Call of Duty, Apex, nope, they went straight back to Fortnite and experienced the time that they had back then that was at its prime. It's all anyone talked about for weeks. Battle Royale peaked at around 6 fucking million players every day. The lowest I actually ever saw anyone playing, I'm not sure if I recall, I don't know if it was just only Zero Build or both of them combined, but the lowest I ever saw was 1.1 million players. I forgot how many people played for both Zero Build and Build, but they were fucking massive. Now, you can say that, oh, it's because of nostalgia or whatever. Okay, let's say for a fact it was. Most people would stop playing after a week or two after the nostalgia trip wore off and move on. But no, people didn't stop playing. More and more people came back and played more every day. This is not because of pure nostalgia, it's because of how perfect and simple it was. It was a time when people appreciated the loot pool, the landing spots, and the seasons. There's a fucking reason why Epic will be bringing back Chapter 2 this year. I'm telling you this right fucking now. Chapter 4 of Fortnite, which is still, it only happened a few months ago, was by far the worst fucking chapter ever made and the worst experience I ever experienced in Fortnite. The map was fucking shit. People are just lying to themselves saying that it was a good map. It wasn't. And you may say, oh, it's just because of the fucking forest or the jungle. But no, I just hated it overall. The fucking loot pool was downright cancer, and nothing about it would make sense. And it wouldn't make me want to go back to it at all. And I'm just hoping that if they're gonna be bringing back old ones, I guess like Chapter 2 and 3, don't bring back Chapter 4. It hasn't been that long. Come on, please, just don't bring it back. I will say the only thing I liked about Chapter 4 was the My Hero Academia collab with the Deku Smash and the skins. It was by far the most badass mythic ever, and I really hope they bring it back in these later seasons. And maybe Season 4 for this chapter. Which has... Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to mention. Season 4 of Fortnite for Chapter 4, I will say that one was actually alright because it was a spy season. So the spy seasons I think were probably always the better ones, and that's why That's why people would sometimes just go back to foreign it because it was a spy season. The spy season are, I would say, are pretty good. So I'll give it that at least. Um, it was just downright horrendous. And if I had to rank these chapters, I would go from chapter 1, chapter 5, chapter 3, chapter 2, and chapter 4. That's how fucking bad it was. I would literally prefer chapter 2 or 3 or anything else except chapter 4. Chapter 4 was just horrible. Anyways, moving on from games, I want to talk about shows now. These days, the kid shows from Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney have seriously dwindled in good making. Shows that I loved was, obviously the classic SpongeBob, Drake and Josh, Gravity Falls, Lab Rats, Regular Show, Ninjago, The Amazing World of Gumball, Adventure Time, Total Drama Island, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, especially how strange that fucking show was. These shows were really masterpieces, especially Regular Show. I don't know what this dude was doing, but J.G. Quintel and the other people that worked on it were fucking cooking with Regular Show. It was truly something spectacular. I know that the companies working on shows like these are meant for kids, and I understand that I'm a fucking adult. I basically have no right to be talking about a kid's show. It's stupid. It's just what the kids think of. But it's just something about the new shows that just doesn't have as much of a passion as before. Many of the times, episodes had a meaning behind it, and it really left a mark on you when you were young. Sometimes you can still laugh about it and feel like they really knew what they were doing to keep you engaged. Now it just feels like more of a disappointment, sort of random nonsense. Now I know this example I'm going to use is overused, but I'm going to use it anyways. SpongeBob, primarily. The new SpongeBob, it really feels like the definition of random bullshit go. The quality went up, but the writing really dwindled. Old SpongeBob had a decent quality that you really liked because it felt balanced for a show like SpongeBob. Then the writing for the episodes and expressions they would use were fucking hilarious. That even adults can still laugh at that shit for years. Great episodes like Doodle Bob, Rock Bottom, the fucking driver's license grind for SpongeBob, and the strange episode like Spongehenge that really left you confused, to say the least. Honestly though, I would still prefer my child to watch whatever is on Nick, Disney, or Cartoon Network than anything on YouTube or TikTok, because in less than a week I would have already lost him on whatever the fuck is trending. Anyways, I feel like I'm going off topic here, but I just want to say that there are things in the past that did it better than the way we are trying to do it in the present. I'm not saying that we should stick to the past, because then we never expand on different opportunities we can take to help for the greater good. I would say that we should learn from the success of the past and try to make it something to keep it as passionate as it was before. Make it a good combo of the success of the past and what we have in the present. Even though it may seem that I'm leaning more on the nostalgia side, I would still prefer to move on into the future because it brings more opportunities that we could overthrow the past for and be greater than ever. As much as I love the things that I mentioned before in the past when I was a kid, I don't want to go back as a kid. I don't ever want to go back as a kid. I just want to think back as like, man, those were the simpler times. And just be stuck forever in the past because I will never get to learn from what the future could provide. And as a society, we will never grow if we don't move on from the past, because only we can control our destiny. Thank you so much for watching and walking down a trip through memory lane, and I hope you enjoyed. Here's to the future for all of us, and here's hoping it's a bright one. That's all I have to say. Love you guys, and hope you have a great day.